My son goes to Mount Pleasant Road Primary School and he had some behavioural issues and he was one of the first children to be put into the buddy program. Yeah, it was really effective for my son. It's really helped him settle down a lot. So, and then the pastoral care program that Karen offers too, a lot of activities at the school, and Karen has done with the parents and the students, which I think has been really invaluable. And I think there's been a lot of instances where we were exposed to C3. We used the holiday program here, the movie days, a lot of those activities. So we've come here quite a few times before I even started to think of getting involved in the church. And then I sort of got to the stage where I was myself interested. I wanted to get my children involved in a community, and particularly in a church community. And this one sort of yelled out at me because of the exposure I'd already had to it. I've never been to church before. I mean, I've been raised as a Christian, but I've never really been involved in going to church regularly with my parents. The community is what I was looking for, and I definitely found that here. So I get upset on a Sunday if I can't come. I really didn't want a church where I sat and listened to a sermon and then they told you to flip to page 6 to 100 of the Bible. It shows you how much I don't know the Bible. I wanted something where it was more interactive and they actually had you thinking, but that's happening in my life. That could help me today. Some of the prayers that I led I find really inspirational, and I actually sit there and I think this is so relevant to me today. I think I'm at the start of a very long journey, and I realise I've got a long way to go. I'm definitely thinking about God a lot more than I ever used to. I'm praying to Him a lot. I'm praying to Him regularly throughout the day. I never used to do that. Just little things, please God, help my daughter settle. One particular time recently, she was in her high chair and her older sister, who's 5, stood on the front of the high chair and tipped it, and it went whack onto the ground. Megan was in it, and so she hit her head, and our freaking parent picked her up and we went straight to the hospital. And while I was at the hospital, I actually laid her down and I put my hands on her and I started to pray over her. And an old lady got up from the next cubicle, came over to me and said, "God has heard you." And I wasn't praying in an overt way. I just had my hands on her and I was just praying silently. And this lady, who was obviously a patient as well, just got up and came over and said, "God has heard you." And she didn't know I was praying or anything. It was just amazing. So Megan was fine. I'm just assuming God made that okay. My children seem to be more excited about God now. My daughter actually my 5-year-old came home from Foreverland on Sunday and said she had a little egg with a little chicken in it, which she was given as a present for learning a proverb. I said the proverb to her, she goes, "Yes, that's Hebrews 6:13. And I went, wow! So they're teaching them really well in Foreverland, and my son gets upset if he can't come. He really enjoys the program on a Sunday here. So they're getting involved. I think they're starting to pick up the message about God. My husband isn't as involved, but he's more than happy for us to come. I'm involved in Ricky's Friday Mothers groups, and I'm really enjoying those coming along, and Ricky and the other mums that come are giving me some really good guidance. I feel like there's light now at the end of the tunnel with what I want to do. Yeah, I sort of know God's going to lead me in the right direction, so just sit back and wait.